Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and today I want to quickly do a fast review on this Snap-on light. This is grab the box here to show you, the Snap-on ECFDD108. It's a 1000 lumen mini floodlight, and it is definitely a floodlight. I'll explain that. And the reason I'm kind of jumping ahead with a fast review is there's like nothing online about these things. I had to kind of guess at some features of it, but I even had to contact Snap-on to find out how you charge the thing, because it doesn't say on the website. I didn't know if it required some crazy proprietary charger or micro USB or what. But anyway, I got my hands on one. It sells for a little, like 115 bucks or something like that. Basically, it's a floodlight with adjustable lumens from 1000 down to 100. That's on a full charge, obviously. The color temperature is slightly adjustable. There are 3 settings for that. It has a clamp here. It's got a magnet, and everything's inside this center console, so it can swing 360 degrees. So let's take a look at the features. First of all, it's a USB-C charging, and it comes with a USB-C charger, but you can use any USB-C charger, because one of the brilliance behind USB-C is that this throttles to whatever the necessary need is. That's part of the USB-C circuitry, if it's real USB-C. On the back, we've got the charging port. We've got a on-off button and a control dial. I'll tell you right now, the on-off button is very easy to hit because you often grab it and all of a sudden you turn it on and you're hit, or it turns on in your toolbox. I just find it gets turned on quite easy. And it has a display that gives me the battery power in percentage, the light output in percentage from 10% to 100%, or 100 lumens to 1000 lumens. And one of the 3 color temperature choices in Kelvin. So, first of all, 2 strong magnets. Let's test those. It is quite strong enough to hold the light in whatever position you need. And I found you can put it like under a hood of a car. Great, absolutely amazing floodlight. The spread is excellent, and I'll point out some things about that in a sec. The other thing is you can actually spread this apart. This is a clamp. You need to rotate this out of the way to get a good spread, and it's a pretty strong grab there. It's spring-loaded here. So if I grab a piece of wood here, you can see that I can easily drop that on, and it's got some kind of self-aligning shoes on the clamp to provide good solid parallel contact. And this thing's rock solid. In fact, I've got a pretty good stout piece of wood here, and I am doing nothing but supporting the entire wood with this clamp, which also means it's a little tough to work with, but that's, I guess, the nature of a clamp. And it has 2 handles right here that help you grab it to be able to move it. What I've discovered is it sets, here would be upright, but this is a little bit kind of at the 90 degree, I'm just going to say, or 40, or I'll call this, just straight out here, we'll say 3 o'clock. So we'd have 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock. For a good straight across 3 o'clock positioning, what I'd recommend is opening it up like that so it's less likely to tip over. Obviously 6 o'clock can work either way. And then if you want it straight up or straight down, obviously, that's really what you're up against. This does have a surface bezel or ring that is taller, just barely by a millimeter or 2 than this, I assume, acrylic dome. So if you do want it down, just be aware that this doesn't have a lot of wiggle room before you might scratch the center of that thing. But if you want to position it, there's all kinds of different ways you can align this in order to, once you're going back that way, all the way up. it is pretty solid in all these different directions, but you know, if you're working on something that jiggles, it's better to kind of angle it as best you can, or snap it down onto something, because it is a thin profile. But I you know, placed it in all kinds of positions in the engine bay, and around the house under the sink, and it's pretty solid. And I'm going to compare it real quick to a lot of these other lights to show you some differences. Turn it on, you hit the button, it's on. You'll automatically get a battery readout right here. It says 89%, little BAT up in the top. If I hit the button, again, it gives me the color temperature. This is 4,000. What that means, it's 40 times 100 K. And I have a couple of choices, 3 choices. This is 3,000 K, 4,000 K, and 5,500 K. And those are 3 different light temperatures. This is the 5,500, 4,000, and the 3,000. Now, that was something I was interested in with this light because, turn it off here, because I use lights like this Lume Cube, which I've shown you before, that actually have a fairly robust adjustability. So on the Lume Cube, I can set the color level, or the color temperature, from 3,000 in 100 lumen, or excuse me, 100K inputs to 5,700. So I can match whatever color temperature I need. One of the things that you want is to be able to mimic daylight, especially because daylight then allows you to see the true color of wires or pipes or whatever it is you're working on. A couple of things about this lens. It's a huge, I assume some kind of acrylic, it doesn't feel like glass, lens on top of the LED, and that produces a fairly large, let me change the color temperature here. Oh, I should show you the other, I forgot. Right here, there's color temperature, battery, and if I don't do anything, what it'll do is give me the output percentage, which it was on 100, and now I can toggle it down all the way down to 10. When I hit the bottom, it flashes, and when I hit the top, it flashes, so I can spin it without looking. But anyway, the floodlight, what I've noticed is it's like 2 to 1, which means you take this distance here and double it, and that gives you about this circle that you're working with. So it's a tremendous flood of nice even light. I did notice some chromic aberration on the edge here where it's kind of yellow. That's just a function of that acrylic. Not a big deal. Nice, smooth, even light, but what it allows is tremendous coverage without having to be too far away. Sometimes you can get lights that have just a narrower spot, you can see there, versus here. You know, it's lighting them up a much larger area, so you have to move these things further away. Spotlights obviously are very narrow. There are some like this, which I do like, which does have some choices between spot, kind of a flood, but again, it's nowhere near the coverage. This is just massive for being this close. That's an advantage. That's huge. Even this Klein, if I turn that on, maybe I'll cut some light here so you can see a little bit better what I'm looking at. Here's the Klein. It's pretty bright. Let me knock it down so you can see versus this. You see how big and how bright this is. There's the Klein. There's the Snap-on. So the Snap-on lights up a huge area even if you're close. So it is a flood. You need to know that because of the inverse square law. Basically, the square of the distance is the reduction in light. So basically, the difference between 2 feet and 4 feet, you've doubled it. 2 squared is 4, or 4 squared is 16. So you've gone from 4 to 16 units of area that you have to light up, which means you have a significant drop pretty quick. So this is a close-up light. This was the one that I had before, and I really liked how well this thing worked. It is a small area light, or small floodlight, but the operation of it was pretty wonky. You know, there are positions that you really just couldn't get it into very easily. Didn't have a long battery life, and basically was on, high, low, and off. Had a strong magnet. I had to put electrician's tape over it because it was getting filled with all kinds of iron filings. But little tiny one, seems to work okay. But I was excited when they came out with one that had a lot more advantages. So a couple of other things with it that I've noticed. Because the lens here is so close to the surface, crack the lights back on so you can see. Right here, you know, if you see where that, you know, it's really close. You can just see the dome just barely under something going across. My recommendation is to push this out just a little bit if you're going to toss it in your toolbox. It's not going to prevent this thing from getting touched and turned on. This turns on way too easy, in my book. So it might accidentally get turned on, but I would just buy a little bit more room by pushing it back before you store it somewhere, because if you put it down on an uneven surface, there's a chance you're going to scratch the front of this, and that will affect the light output. You're going to get some artifacts, maybe some shadows or something else. Another thing, seems to charge pretty fast with the USB-C. But unlike the Klein, you can't charge another device with it. The Klein does allow you to plug a USB in. As far as the weight, it's a fairly dense light, but it's not crazy, not too bad. I wish it came in other colors, you know, green or orange would be nice. Another thing that I discovered is it does get hot really close to the light. That's not unusual with high-powered lights, especially at 1,000 lumens, but you can definitely feel the heat coming off of this thing. I don't think it would start a fire. Some things, you know, some other lights, they get hot enough to burn you. I've left this on. I mean, I can feel the heat coming off, but I don't think it's going to get excessive. I don't think it's going to do anything dangerous, but it could melt your chocolate or something if it got turned on inside your toolbox and you had candy in there. Anyway, that's my quick overview of this thing. I do like it so far. I'm expecting, you know, some good outdoor performance as well. The things that shocked me, how easy it turned on, because I keep turning it on when I pick it up. The arrival time, I originally, when I ordered it, it was supposed to be in April, and then it changed to June. Well, it arrived in May, so I should be happy about that. The cost, it is kind of expensive if I compare it to you know, the $40 for this little Klein, but it's way more light than the Klein. This one, I think when it was new, was like 60 or 70, which is kind of outrageous. There's a knockoff, I guess, that's selling hot on Amazon that's in this form factor. Okay, I mean, you could tell they were learning. Spotlights, totally different game. And then after I use this compared to some of my other just quick work lights, you know, under the sink stuff, under the hood stuff, this is so nice, so much better, so fast, so aimable, which is huge. The magnets, the clamp, it's well designed, well thought out. And then I wish it had more adjustability in the color temperature, but I guess that might have been why this one's $200 and this was like 115 or something. Anyway, there it is. If you are after something like this, it looks like there's a long back order, but I think it's worth it compared to a lot of other shop lights. I'm pleased with it. Hopefully its performance lasts. And with that, Doc out.